Ba-na, ba 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 da da ba da 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 da. Oh no! What I should have done is brum bum brum dun dun. Na 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 da 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 da. Da 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 da. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 10 of MoDXtra, which is the Star Wars special. Whoop, whoop. I felt like I had to clarify that.
If you hadn't got it already.
Absolutely. I'm Chris, otherwise known online as the True Mr. Six, and that fella over there is Andy.
Andy, a.k.a. Bugsy Malone. I could have been anything that I wanted to be.
We're very musical this evening. So, if you've not been around these parts before, we ought to let you know that we are basically two overgrown man-children who like to do lots and lots of nerdy things, and we get together every 2 weeks to talk about those nerdy things that we've been getting up to in a relatively unstructured, wild and anarchic manner.
Ooh, wild and anarchic.
Yeah.
I've been called a number of things in my time, but never wild or anarchic.
Which is ironic because you are quite often the absolute definition of both.
How very
what the audience don't perceive, though, is the editing that tidies that up and makes it sound all structured and flowing.
Yeah. 2 hours of recording, 8 hours of editing.
I'm actually getting quicker at it nowadays. I've reached the point where there's certain repeated phrases or noises that we make. So I know what your chair squeak looks like in the thing, and I know what it looks like when I say the same phrase twice over, which is an awful habit I seem to have. I've noticed when I'm editing down.
It's an awful habit that he seems to have when he's editing.
Yeah, it is. It's an awful habit that I seem to have when I'm editing down. So here we are then, folks. It is the Star Wars special. We've talked about this one for a while. It's our 10th episode, so why not do it on our 10th episode?
Double digits.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no big Star Wars epic event or new film release or anything. It's just randomly our 10th episode. But we've planned out a few bits and bats to have a good natter about all around the theme of Star Wars for this episode. However, we like to just warm things up with a little bit of introductory chat. So before we get into the Star Wars of it all, let's see what Andy's been up to for the last 2 weeks since episode 9.
Ooh, right, let's see. I've watched a few movies. I've just actually finished watching The Meg, which I've seen before, but watched it with the family, and they thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's the big, prehistoric shark thing.
Yeah, it's Jaws, but bigger in the 21st century.
Sure.
So that was cool. What else have we got here? I watched the Harley Quinn movie, which was all right.
Oh, the Fantabulous Emancipation and blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the Harley Quinn movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it all right, was it?
Yeah, it was all right.
How was Zaz? I've not seen it yet. How was Zaz the serial killer?
I didn't even realise it was him. And we only spoke about him last week.
Oh.
He didn't have any scars
on him. That would indicate then that he's not a... Sorry, say again. I
can't remember him having any scars on his skin.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. He's obviously not a replication of the comic book character then if you've not made the connection.
Didn't make the connection at all. But nonetheless, it's all right.
Sure. I'm skeptical. I've not watched the film yet, but only because I'm cheap and waiting for it to come to free streaming. But I'm skeptical about it because Birds of Prey, as written by Gail Simone years ago, the comic book team, I'm a big fan of, really big fan of. And I'm worried, that I'm going to struggle with too much, difference.
It lacked the usual superhero story of a super villain. There wasn't any kind of dire consequences. The world wasn't going to end.
I thought it wasn't Ewan McGregor the villain, the Black Mask.
Yeah,
but it's not.
But no.
So is that a scale thing? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing wrong with it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it didn't have the same kind of grandioso-ness of a usual, superhero movie. The city wasn't going to be, covered in gas that makes everyone laugh until they die. The world wasn't going to end.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, it was cool. I also watched Full Metal Jacket again.
Oh, that's amazing.
Great movie. Thoroughly enjoyed that.
You have to be in the right sort of frame of mind for that. Jesus.
Yeah, it's quite serious for me. But nonetheless,
it is.
Enjoyed it. Very much enjoyed it.
This is my rifle. This is my gun.
I've seen it a fair few times. What else? Oh, this is the one I wanted to speak to you about. I watched Songbird on Amazon Prime. Have you seen that? I think it's an Amazon Prime special.
Songbird. Wait. I haven't, no, but I feel like I should be watching it, or something about it is interesting to me.
Let me read you the
it's got Bradley Whitford. Is it not the one with Bradley? Is it the COVID-27 one?
Yeah, it's 2023. The COVID-23 virus has mutated and the world is in its 4th year of lockdown. Immune to the virus, a brave courier races against time to save the woman he loves from a quarantine camp. And it stars... Oof. This is quite weird. KJ Apa, don't know who he is. Sophia Carson, don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Alexandra Daddario, don't know who that is. And then at the end, and Demi Moore.
Oh, Demi Moore. And it doesn't mention Bradley Whitford. So Bradley Whitford's in it, who's a personal favourite of mine. I couldn't tell you what character in the film he plays, but he's in Cabin in the Woods. He was one of the white-shirted men in the underground bunker. No?
No.
Josh Lyman from West Wing.
West what?
West Wing. What else has he been in? He's on a sitcom right now that's about a church choir.
I'm just Googling him.
Bradley Whitford.
Oh,
I'm sure he's in that.
He is in it. So is, who's not mentioned, Peter Stormare, or Stormare, who is usually the Russian bad guy. As well as a guy called Craig Robinson, who's in the Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's Judy, his Judy, his nemesis that crops up, and they're like best buddies, and they're pretty much the same thing, same kind of person, but obviously.
Isn't he? He's been in loads of Seth Rogen stuff, isn't he? In.
Yes, he has. He's done a lot of voiceover stuff, because I'm flicking through and I'm like, I don't really remember him in that. He's in the Sausage Party. He's in Escape from Planet Earth. He's in Night of Museum, and he must be a voice in that, because I don't recognise him from it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, really funny guy. Like, recognise him from loads of stuff. There's a few
not the kind of guy the kind of guy you'd expect to find in a 4-year lockdown COVID-27 virus drama.
I suppose, times are rough for actors out there looking for work. I'm not sure there's much going on, is there?
Yeah, that's it. Just take what you can get. Oh, what? I need to film it by myself at home, and it's about lockdown. I'll do it.
But if you've not seen it, then it's worth a watch. I quite enjoyed it. I thought, am I doing the right thing watching this, or this is going to make me like completely depressed by the end of it? Even more so as I am sat in my own house for the 573,000th hour. But yeah, I enjoy that anyway. There
was an article in the paper when all the lockdown and pandemic-y stuff started kicking off, and Netflix had added, I think it was Outbreak, is it, with Dustin Hoffman, and it had the biggest viewing figures like ever. We're just gluttons for punishment. We like to obviously scare ourselves.
We're a morbid bunch. Other than movies, I finished off the Batman Nightfall. Was it It was Nightfall.
Oh yeah, Nightfall. Yeah.
So I finished off that omnibus. We spoke about that last week.
John Paul Valley's on the scene now, is he, with his metal claws and all that?
With his fancy new suit that he made himself from the voice in his head that he doesn't know why it's there. And he's Saint Dumas. He's a little bit of a nutter.
He is a little bit of a nutter.
Finished The Expanse, so that's that all done. Which I don't know if I finished it. Did I finish it? No, I think I was nearing.
No, you were at the beginning of season 4, maybe.
Beginning of season 5. But that's not a long series, so I munched through that like a Kinder Egg.
It's really good, isn't it?
It is very, very good. Very, very good.
Season 5 has a bit of a different tone to previous seasons, but for the right reasons.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have a bit of a change up. And shocker at the end. Not going to spoil it, but what is that all about? I texted you, didn't I, after I watched it? Go, what?
You did. And I said you should Google why they've done that.
Yeah, and I did.
Yeah.
So I have therefore started Vikings on Chris's recommendation from our last episode, and I'm only one episode in, so can't tell you much about that other than it's about Vikings and it's a bit gory.
It's good. I think I dismissed it very early doors as a bit of a Game of Thrones light. You know what I mean? I've had my Game of Thrones fix, but in the absence, I don't know, just on a whim, I felt like something historical and axy, so I put it on, and then before I knew it, I woke up from a fugue state 2 weeks later, and I'd watched 4.5 seasons.
Nice. I think that's all we're watching. Reading wise, I finished off the Thursday Murder Club book that I told you about last time from Richard what's his face from Pointless.
Osman.
That's the one. It's a little bit of a loose end. I was like, what do I read now? And found the books for The Expanse on the bookstore, iBookstore. First one is $4.99, so I thought I'd give it a go, see what it's like. So I've just started reading that, and so far it's pretty good. It's very similar, obviously, at the moment to the series, although there are a few subtle changes already. So I'm hoping that they'll veer off that the TV show veered off in a different direction, and it'll be new stories with characters alike, because that'd be fun.
Sure, I don't know. Maybe someone out there can give you a heads up and warn you either way, but I've no clue.
Yeah, well, for a $5, I thought it's a decent sized book. I'd give it a go. I'm not going to not enjoy it. And so that is pretty much me, I think. Video gaming, getting my Apex Legends on Season 8. Had a beautiful game with yourself and Javier last night, getting ourselves a win.
We did, didn't we?
Most excellent. You got one before. We all joined up as well, I believe.
2 before.
Ooh, 2. Look at him.
Yeah. And I had a dub on whatever other random night I played.
Check out the pro.
No, I keep getting carried. I'm just getting lucky with like these crazy good teammates. The dub I had just before I met up with you guys really was, there was just this one teammate, and I was on stream at the time and I was slagging him. I was like, oh, look at Rambo there, steaming off on his own. Here we go again, blah, 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 blah. And then it was like, killed 1 person, killed 2 people, killed 3 people. I was like, oh, okay. Fair enough then. but it's rare. It's rare to have someone who goes out on their own like that and has the goods to back it up. Usually I see a lot of Rambos. Yeah, and then it's ping, 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 ping. I'm like, you're on the other side of the map, dick. But this guy actually had the goods and carried me. And the whole video I was just like, where are we getting shot at from? What's happening? I don't know what's going on. I managed to fluke a kill or 2 in it, but anyway, yeah. Season 8's been good.
Yeah, it's been good. Been enjoying it. And that really rounds up my last couple of weeks.
Oh, very good. Seems pretty jam-packed to me.
So how's about yourself, mate?
How about me? So I watched a random film the other night on Netflix called Hotel Artemis. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I've heard something about it, but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, it's got that guy, what's his name? Sterling Thingamadoodad. No, I don't think it's Moss. Then Jeff Goldblum and Jodie Foster and Dave Bautista's in it. And there was another person I recognised. Oh, the son of Jeff Goldblum in it is the evil heroes guy. Is it Sirius?
Oh, it's been an age since I watched that.
Yeah, hang on, his name will come to me. He's Spock in the Star Trek films. Zachary Quinto. Zach Quinto.
Good work.
Quintos, something like that. It was all right. It was totally random. It's set in the future. It's like this criminal, like an underground back alley hospital for no good types,
I know them well.
No good, can't go to a hospital kind of thing. And they turn up and there's all these different people there getting treated for all their various criminal injuries. And things happen. And it was okay. It was along the kind of veins of, like Lucky Number Slevin or what's that one with Ryan Reynolds in the hotel where they're guarding someone?
I don't know.
I don't know. It'll come to me. But yeah, that kind of just a sort of small, like the length of the film is the length of what actually happens in terms of what's being depicted in the film, if you know what I mean. Just like it's 2 hours and all the shit goes down over 2 hours. So, but I was a bit surprised. It lacked a lot of substance when you're looking at a movie and like, wow, it's Jodie Foster and Jeff Goldblum. That's probably pretty good. So I'd give that a watch it if you're at a loose end and just can't be bothered switching your brain on. So Vikings, we've already covered that. I'm into the second half of season 4. The 4th season was split into 2 parts when they originally aired it, but I'm obviously binging the box set. So I'm in the second half. It's gone off the boil a little bit now, but the early seasons I really enjoyed. It does seem to move quite quickly. Like character development is sometimes a bit like, nah, we don't need to develop these characters. Just give them an axe and throw them in a battle. That's character defining enough. You know, but that's what I watched it. That's what I turned it on for, because I felt like watching people with axes. So, you know, you get what you pay for, I suppose. Apex Season 8. I tell you what, has just come on the telly is, I think it's called Navy SEALs or SEAL Team. It's got David Boreanaz in it. It's probably on this may be Season 4 or Season 5. It's I shouldn't like it, but I really do. It's about a SEAL team. David Boreanaz is like the team leader. They've had a couple of seasons where they sort of follow them around on missions. It's a fiction. And, you know, they're going out, they go over to, you know, wherever, Afghanistan to go chase down a terrorist. Or,
Iraq.
Yeah, or they land on an oil ship to save some hostages from some pirates or whatever. You know, it's all these kind of things, these like little missions of the week. And it's very, it is pretty good. And it's very kind of like USA, bit of a tone about it. But what I particularly like is that it's sort of, there's depth to it. Like it doesn't shy away from the fact that there's living this life and doing this job is having a toll on these guys, you know, day in, day out. And David Boreanaz sort of plays the part really well. So it's got some really good action. It's, you know, it clips on at a good old pace. It is sort of villain of the week, or they'll have a villain that they're fighting for a 2 or 3 episode kind of chunk. That's fine, but the character development's actually been pretty good. So if you can look past the flag waving, and there's actually quite a bit of substance to it. So
what channel's that?
I don't know. I've got it on Series Link, so it just
actual telly.
Yeah, so it just records.
You mean it's not on like a streaming service?
I don't know. Yeah, I've watched each season as it was televised, so I can't. Somebody will have it, surely.
Telly, actual telly.
Yeah, tell me.
What's it called? The SEALs.
Yeah, SEAL Team or Navy SEALs. It's it is David Boreanaz, the Angel guy who played Angel. Yeah,
and Bones.
Yeah, Bones. That's right.
SEAL.
He's
SEAL Team. Here we go.
SEAL Team. There you
go. Now TV. So that's like Sky catch up, isn't it? We're nothing free.
Okay. Well, there you go. But yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh shit!
I've been watching it.
Subscribe.
And I've been watching that. It's just literally just started. And Resident Alien is another show I've just started watching as well. But this is being episode of a week. Yawn. And this is Alan Tudyk. The main guy in this.
He's a leaf on a wind.
He is indeed. And he's an alien who's landed on Earth. He's got like an Earth mission thing that I won't talk about because that's a part of the story. But his ship's damaged and he sort of takes over the life of this doctor and pretends to be this doctor. And things happen. Things ensue. It's a lot darker than you expect it to be going in. But as we've probably gathered by now, I like a bit of dark humour, so that works for me. Alan Tudyk's obviously awesome.
Is it like Alf? Sounds like Alf.
Well, no, you see, that's what, you think Alan Tudyk kind of playing a goofy fish out of water alien pretending to be a human thing. You expect perhaps a bit of that sort of goofy
Pirate Pete.
Yeah, but it's not. He does do a bit of that stuff, like these sort of because he misunderstands, and then the misunderstandings create confusion that is funny and stuff. But some of the misunderstandings are really dark. It's hard to explain without giving any of the story away. I'll give you one example though. There's a child. This was perhaps I won't go into the details of why, but the child can see the fact that he's an alien that the human disguise hologram thing that he's using, he can see through it for a variety of reasons. And so the kid screams and kicks off, but he's been like breaking into their house and sneaking in with intentions of killing the kid, and gets close to doing so a couple of times, and it's got a real like dark serial killer in through the back window kind of tone to it. But he doesn't think anything. He doesn't view anything wrong with that. He's just protecting his secret identity because he's got this mission to do on Earth.
Okay, so that sounds good.
Yeah. So yeah, that's on. I've been on Apex on the console, so I haven't played anything much different than Apex season. I've got the Season 8 bug at the minute. As we've seen in the past, I'll burn out on that and go back to something else soon enough. I'll overdo it. And the comic book stuff, I've not been reading a lot of comic books, actually. I'm a bit off the boil with my comics at the minute.
Oh, it was nice to take a break. Give your eyes a rest.
Yeah, I'm just not finding... Things aren't switching me on. I'm not enjoying the read. I said to someone the other day, it's like I'm just reading Batman comics out of habit at the minute. I'm not sure I'm liking them. I'm just doing it because I've read Batman comics for decades. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and then the only other thing is I've revisited a few Star Warsy bits in preparation for our main Star Wars special segments coming in a moment.
Cool.
And that's about me, I think. I'm sure there's stuff I'm missing.
I forgot to mention I watched Snakes on a Plane.
You mentioned it to me the other day.
I've had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Greatest line ever of any film.
That will be, it goes in the history books, that one. That's in the history books.
What a movie. What a movie.
Yeah, it is good. Samuel L. Jackson, and he's just... Nobody else could do that role. He's just...
Oh, yeah. Without Samuel L. Jackson in the movie, it would be absolute shite. But he's one of the few actors that could elevate a film from dog turd to classic just by acting in it.
Just by his sheer presence.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, he is. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. Speaking of Samuel, he's, of course, a Star Wars guy.
He is indeed.
Yeah. Which segues me nicely into telling the audience where we're going with this. So it's the Star Wars special. We'll put all that random non-Star Warsy tangent stuff to bed now. That's the intro. We're all nice and warmed up. So we're going to break it down into 3 sections. Today we're going to do a section that's going to focus on Star Wars cinema and primarily the kind of main 9, although there's a couple of breakaways there, isn't there? Then our next segment's going to be like the extra shit.
Yeah.
Books, comic books, the cartoons, TV shows, that kind of thing, and what our, I suppose, going to focus on what our faves or our standouts are in there. And then the final segment, we're going to talk merchandise. But that's a massive subject, so what we've decided to do is do a top 5 picks from our own personal nerd collections. And
nice.
With all that, which is already a lot, we should be done. Yeah.
Hold on to your hats, folks.
Absolutely. So, without further ado, should we get into talking about the films?
Let's do it.
But I wanted to go to Tashi to get some power converters.
Stop moaning.
Oh, Jesus, he's a whiner, isn't he? Luke Skywalker is a whinging little shit. And that is how I've decided to start our movie segment. Yay! So the films are obviously the centerpiece. Despite everything that has sprouted off and grown from the epic behemoth that is Star Wars, everything starts with the films. That's the center. That's the core of what it's all about. So our first segment had to be about the films. When you messaged me earlier, I was like, yeah, I mean, I suppose we've got to talk about the movies, haven't we? So we're going to have a bit of a chat about the films. We're not... I don't think there's a particular... I haven't structured this in any way. We watched A New Hope as our watch party, as a start for 10, I suppose.
We did, and thank you very much for everyone who came and joined us. Or in Javier's case, tried to join us.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what that was all about.
No, I don't either. But anyway, yes, we watched the first film, episode 4, A New Hope, which the original, the 19... Is it 78? 77?
77.
77.
The OG.
All right. How did you think that stood up in comparison to today's movies?
Very, very well.
Yeah, I thought so too, to be fair.
Yeah. Outside of perhaps some of the haircuts being a bit 70s, which they clearly are, it does stand up very, very well. I suppose that's the advantage of science fiction, isn't it? That
who knows what we'll be wearing in the future. I like that.
Yeah, well, it's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. You can do what you like, can't you?
Uncle, what's his face? Uncle Dale, or whatever his name is. He was in
Uncle Owen.
Owen, that's it. He was wearing his Star Wars style robes. Auntie Pam, what's her name?
Peru.
Such
a Star Wars noob.
Just don't remember the names. That where Paddington come from, Peru. Anyway, Aunt Peru sat there in a 1970s big collared jacket and shirt. Oh, that's a little bit of a compare. And the fact, right, something that we noticed as a little bit of a tangent. They sit down for dinner and they have blue milk, which is like Ming, and sand. They're either eating sand or crumble with no fruit, just crumble topping. That's it. It's weird. Doesn't make any sense. But I agree, it does stand up. For me, there's a few bits where they're just wandering around, which is a little bit like when the droids crash. There's quite a lot of times when C-3PO and R2-D2 are just kind of having a wander around some sandy deserts. But overall, it's a nice paced movie.
I mean, those are really short sequences.
It didn't feel short. It felt like
you're like a goldfish, dude. Jesus.
Well, comparison.
You've spent too much time in Michael Bay.
Exactly. But every second has to have something happen.
That's interesting because Smokey and the Bandit, I felt at times had that kind of slower 70s movie sensibility to it.
Did ya?
Yeah. It doesn't bother me though.
No, that's just overall. It was just I found there's a few bits that's slower than I remembered.
Yeah.
And you get.
I love that first film to bits. I won't, dance around it. The original trilogy specifically. I said to my wife after the watch party ended, I was like, I just want to go and watch Empire Strikes Back now. It has such a warm, like, memory, nostalgic thing that I've just carried since the very first day I saw it as a kid. That the opening fanfare, the soundtrack, the orchestration, the droids, the laser blast, the space, everything about it. Just it may not have aged very well, but I can't see that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I have less nostalgia about it. I watched it. I didn't watch it until I was in my mid-late teens.
What?
Bum bum bum. But it does. If you took the storyline and you put it into a modern day movie, it would work. You don't feel like there's some movies you watch and you think, oh, would that be any good? But it would be, if that makes sense. If you brought it out today with kind of modern HD 4K surround sound, whatever, it's a nice. It's all in one movie. Obviously, they were hoping to do more because they named it Episode 4, but it's got a start, middle, and end, which is always nice.
I'm just laughing because some would argue that somebody did bring it out in HD 4K with the same storyline many years later.
Hey, what? Starship Troopers.
Hey, what? No, the what's the one with the first one with Ray Face in it? What's that one called? Force Awakens.
That's not the same movie.
Think about it.
Nah, they don't get dumped into like a bin chute with a tentacle. Completely different.
Okay,
it's not even a Wookiee. Oh, you got me thinking. Anyway, right, moving.
There is a Wookiee. Chewbacca's in it.
Oh yeah, he's in all of them though.
Chewbacca's awesome.
Let me ask you this: out of the 9 original movies. Not including any other spin-offs, but the ones, the 9. Which is your favourite?
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, I wasn't expecting you to say that. And why?
That's a great question. So I like the big snow battle and all the little T-47 snow speeders and the big AT-ATs and the battle. I just think it's got a really great opening. I like the growth of Luke into his more sort of Jedi Knight role and going to Dagobah and getting trained up. Han's a badass in it. There's some great scenes around Han. You've got the Cloud City stuff as well with the massive. Well, loads goes on in Cloud City, but I particularly enjoy the lightsaber battle between Luke and Vader, and I particularly like the stuff that goes down, like Boba Fett and Han, and all that kind of. It's like the darker edge of it all. It's the fall before the rise. And I like the feeling at the end of, right, we're going to go rescue Han. We've got to, spoiler alert, but I don't think I need to worry about that.
No, I don't think we have to worry about spoilers.
And that whole feeling of, right, we're going into another film. We've been defeated, but we're going, we're coming back stronger next time, kind of thing. There's a lot I love about Empire Strikes Back.
Nice.
Which did you think I was going to say?
I thought you might have said episode 1.
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace.
Are you bringing that up because of what we talked about last week or the week before?
Yeah, because you said that it was one of your favourites. I thought it might have been the one.
Yeah. Well, let's throw that out. I mean, I don't know about one of my favourites necessarily, but I now, in hindsight, and this is probably going to lose all 30 viewers that we get at the moment, I think in hindsight, beyond the original trilogy, the best film, the one that stands up the most, is The Phantom Menace.
I really like The Phantom Menace.
So I know at the time there was a certain element of expectation. There's a new Star Wars film. There was a lot of passion and desire for it to be amazing. And then it kind of turned up and it was about tax and trade arguments. And there was like weird political Senate discussions and shit. And I get it. And then like the whole midichlorians thing. And I agree with that aspect of the displeasure with the Phantom Menace, and Jar Jar's annoying and all that. And I'm not taking away from any of those arguments. I had that same sense of anticipation when it came along too. But Attack of the Clones is really bad. To my eyes, it is fucking awful.
Really?
It is a despicable betrayal of everything the original trilogy stood for. And then what's the third one? Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Sith. Yeah. Is it Revenge of the Sith?
Revenge of the Sith. We're doing a Star Wars thing and we can't remember what all the films are.
So right. Well, that one there is even worse than Attack of the Clones. It's like it's on a sliding scale of utter decline into like deep sewage. Anakin's descent into darkness to become Darth Vader is utterly unconvincing. Whether that's the actor, the writing, whatever. I think there's a lot of stuff in the melting pot there, but I'm just not buying it. This iconic, epic character from the original trilogy, who I think is awesome and badass, is then, and there's this whole story that we're told through secondhand through Obi-Wan. Your father was the best pilot in the Clone Wars. Then we find out when he speaks to Obi-Wan's ghost in Return of the Jedi that Darth Vader is in fact his father, and all this kind of stuff. And that's the story we get, this completely bilgy, unconvincing plank of wood deciding he's evil. So I actually think The Phantom Menace stands up the best because you're in this, it just slides down. And I know many, many people disagree with me. I am the dissenting voice there, but I think he's got more redeemable features than the others. Like Darth Maul.
Darth Maul is awesome.
He is, absolutely. Like the lightsaber fights with Darth Maul are tremendous. Far better than any of the lightsaber fights in the latter two of that middle trilogy. Yeah, brilliant. In the desert when he jumps off that speeder bike thing and starts just aggressively laying into Qui-Gon Jinn. Awesome. And the battle in Naboo at the end, outstanding. And I have to admit, I kind of like the pod race as well.
How can you not like the pod race?
Well, people don't. People don't like the pod race.
People don't.
By people, I mean broad Star Wars fandom. There are people out there who think the pod race is bobbins.
Pod race is cool. It's cartoony, isn't it? It's quite cartoony, light-hearted-y, fun. It's almost like something out of a Saturday morning cartoon. However, what they're going for is the first one to be light-hearted. Anakin, he's like, all lovely and sweet and blonde and blue-eyed and American.
Yeah.
And then the whole idea is that over the course of the 3 movies, he turns into Darth Vader. And I agree, he actually turns into a very whiny adolescent.
Yeah, it's like you're not moving over to the dark side. You're just going emo.
I killed them all, and the women and the children. I hate them. Well done, mate.
Yeah, I'm so convinced by your displeasure at that experience. You fucking piece of wood. The Phantom Menace, like the lightsaber battle and the pod race and the journeying around the galaxy, is the one to my mind that stands most true to the sense of adventure, and that childhood action adventure film feel that the original trilogy had.
Yeah, I have fond memories for it because it was such a long time. You had the original trilogy, which we all, as teenagers, thought was the best thing since sliced bread in our nerdy sci-fi worlds. And then it was a long wait. And then 1999, and we all charge into the cinemas. It's a new Star Wars film. It's amazing. There's not been anything out for nearly 20 years. And just having something else that was Star Wars, which wasn't the 3 movies that we'd seen over and over again, was very exciting. So I've got fond memories of it just for that.
Yeah. No, us saying that's probably going to get our houses firebombed, and there will be people going, but Jar Jar's so annoying and all that. But no,
Mr. Yufa!
Yeah. I think if you just turn your back on the weird midichlorian shit, actually, and if you stand back objectively and go, well, think the battle, it had a big epic battle between the Gungans and the droid army, which feels the most like the rebels going up against the Empire on Hoth, or the rebels and the Ewoks fighting the Empire on Endor. It has that feel about it, which I don't think the battles in the latter 2 do. It's got that sense of adventure. It's got great lightsaber battles. Qui-Gon Jinn's a pretty cool dude. He's a decent character.
He's got a particular set of skills.
He most certainly has, including pissing his own pants.
Every time he goes out. And if you don't know what we're talking about there, go to our Facebook page and check out some of the posts.
Would that be facebook.com/MoDXtraCast?
That it would.
So yeah, that's where I'm at with the second trilogy. I really don't like the second trilogy at all. I like Phantom Menace the best out of the 3, but going back to your original question, none of them compare to the original trilogy, and specifically Empire Strikes Back for me. Nothing's even come close.
Oh, nostalgia, baby.
Yeah. This is weird that you're the one who's all like, I like the new ones and the latest thing.
Isn't it?
And I'm the one living in the past.
It's the saying that my favourite out of all 9 is also Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, interesting.
And it's for a lot of the same reasons. The big snow battle at the beginning, I remember walking into my mate's house going, all right, boys, how's it going? And they had that on and it just started. And I was like, what's this? And they're like, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. And I was like, always been wanting to watch them Star Wars films. Sat down and it was like the big AT-ATs, boom, boom, pow, pow, pow. And then they're tripping them up like Ant-Man. And it's really
Target
exciting.
the main power generator.
And it's cool. Yeah, so that is my favourite. It was the first one I saw of the Star Wars. Star Wars.
Well, you saw that before you saw New Hope?
Yeah.
Wow.
And yes, that's my favourite. My second favourite, probably Force Awakens.
Get out. Ending the podcast now. That's it. I'm pressing stop recording. Fuck this MoDXtra shit. We're done. Really?
I like it. Mate. I've not seen it for a while, but I remember liking it. Well,
and each to their own.
It's the seeing the Millennium Falcon again after all that time. We're like, oh, it's so excited. And it's under like a tarpaulin. And the little BB-8 running around. And
yeah, I mean, I must admit those bits are nice. And I do like the fact that they brought Han Solo back and he was just as roguish and scampy as he always was. And yeah, I can see that. And again, I suppose with the new trilogy, Force Awakens is the one I can palate the most out of the 3 new ones.
Yeah, the other 2, Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, they're all right.
Yeah, that's it. All right. That's because I wouldn't say I've got any particular objections to them.
Visually beautiful.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Stunning effects, but storyline wise, meh.
Yeah,
I just can't. I can't. And they're making weird decisions. And one of the things, I know I've said this to you before, but listeners may have heard me say it in other contexts, but I have a big problem when movies kind of place the fan service and the money making element of the film before the story, and I just can never shake the feeling with the latest trilogy that J.J. Abrams is the kind of driving force behind these movies, particularly the first and the third, was just kind of fanboy jizzing everywhere, getting all excited and just chucking stuff in that he knew would make people come and watch his film and watch it again and watch it again and watch it again and buy the toy and blah, blah, blah.
Isn't that his job, though, to make people do that?
Well, I mean, that's a fair argument. It's a reasonable argument, but I think cinema, the art and the story should come before that. It's been proven time and time again that you can still make the money if you place the characters and the story first.
It's a question then, because the first three movies, the storyline is good, but it's relatively straightforward. There's not a load of twists and turns and like, oh, shock, he's dead at the end, like Sixth Sense or anything like that. It's like a pretty straightforward. They've got this big ass planet destroying space station. We need to get it. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Boom.
Beat the baddies. Yeah.
And then, so do you think that the ones after just got too complicated? And if they'd have just like settled it down and just gone like Phantom Menace, Anakin young, Anakin becomes a Jedi, Anakin becomes a baddie.
You're talking sort of Phantom Menace through Revenge of the Sith, are you?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about the back six?
No. So it's the first, so episode 1, 2, and 3. If it was literally, and I'm looking at the picture now, and you can see that that's what they're going for with the covers, because you've got the first one light blue, the second one yellow, and then the third one red. So you're saying, good, turn in, bad. Or good, Jedi turn in, ends up baddie. There's a lot of moving parts to those films. There's lots of ins and outs, and he finds the clone. Like Obi-Wan spends a hell of a lot of time finding a clone army, like ages. It's like the best part of the film. It's like, I get it. There's an army, people that look the same, that someone asked for, which wasn't a Jedi, but said he was a Jedi. I get it.
And it's all a bit convoluted. And that was the Emperor playing both sides because he wanted an army for his empire, but he needed to get it through the report. Yeah, it's all, you're absolutely right. They've just overcomplicated and convoluted it all. And trade disputes and,
Count Dooku turns up, and then the dude, General Grievous, and like, where do they fit in? I've seen in the films more, like a number of times. I'm still not 100% sure what, where, and how they fit into the storyline. They just seem to be like end of level bosses. Like, they're just like, here's an end of level boss to kill. Just level up, level 2. Let's go on a little bit further. Because I think that. I think if they just simplified it but made it look cool.
Well, this is, again, this whole thing around kind of story and narrative and imagination that I have a bit of a problem with, because what they're doing is they're taking a thread of a thing that has captured the imagination of fans from the original source material and sort of pulled on it. But they're pulling on it. It was just a throwaway line or a thread that existed to serve a purpose in the original story that they're now trying to pull the thread and find a lovely ball of wool at the other end, and instead it's a dead cat. And so, like Obi-Wan mentions, me and your father fought together in the Clone Wars. Your father was a great pilot. And everyone's like, ooh, the Clone Wars. There's been something happened before this. And then they've tried to give it a context and make it real. And I don't know.
You see, if the Clone Wars were good and awesome, you'd be like, I love the fact that they picked up on that line that he said about the Clone Wars, and then they expanded and they made this awesome movie about it. But because it was a bit wank, it's like, they've just ruined that whole idea. I had in my head, the Clone Wars was this really awesome fight that they all did, and then they just pissed on it and made it look shit.
But I suppose maybe not. We'll never know, will we? But because they didn't produce a decent war story off the back of it. But I have fundamental issues with it when I see it happening in other franchises as well. It irritates the fuck out of me.
You see, it's like you've watched the Harry Potters, but you've not read them.
Yeah.
See, J.K. Rowling is like a master of just like slipping something like quite innocuous. Is that the right word?
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard the rest of the sentence, but it's working so far.
Like into, say, book 2, that you kind of read and think, oh, yeah. And then in book 5, it becomes really important.
Mm.
And, I suppose it's not the same as the fact that she's not saying, oh, yes, the wizard, what I suppose she has done in the flipping Fantastic Beasts. She expanded all on the dude from the last one. But,
and I can't necessarily shake the feeling that when she mentioned it in book 2, she didn't intend to come back to it. It was just she just found a thread of wool to pull.
I'm not sure because it's done so many times throughout the book that it could well have been linked in. And regardless of if she does or didn't, certainly, in my opinion, it works. You're like, oh, yeah, I remember that, talking about whatever. And it all links in. It's quite cleverly done, which makes me think, it's not done for kind of anything in regards to kind of money grabbing or the other things you said that you didn't like. It's just about creating that kind of interlinking story, and you going, oh yeah.
Yeah, and I can't take away from that. That's a perfectly valid view. It's just one that I can't always get on board with. I think that prequels in general I struggle with because I find it hard to get invested when you know the outcome.
Yeah, and we've spoken about things before, like the crashed spaceship in Aliens, and Alien, where all the eggs are, and how in Prometheus they try and develop on that, and it's just like, nah, leave it. Don't want to know.
Yeah, didn't need it. You're pushing too hard and far.
Yeah, it's too late. It's too late now. It's 40 years.
The Phantom Menace stuff around pulling on the thread isn't too much of a problem. I think that you just needed to make Anakin's descent into darkness and his transformation into Darth Vader more central to the story in a much better way.
Yeah.
And they didn't, because George Lucas was like, I don't know, having an argument with the US government about his tax returns or something, and got obsessed with trade federations and droids or something. I don't know.
And the whole love story, it'd be better if like they kind of didn't really get on, and then at the end they just had this mad passionate thing, and that was his downfall. That's what turned him into like an evil bugger. Whereas it's like, fuck this Jedi stuff. I'm gonna have sex with Natalie Portman, because who wouldn't? Knock her up and then get myself a big black helmet to wear. Yeah.
And it was like, no, that's just the thing that plods along through the middle. But let's create some new characters, some ender level bosses that we can have some action figures for.
And Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
He asked for it, didn't he? Am I right that Samuel L. Jackson went, I want to be in the Star Wars movies, please? Just right.
Pretty much, yeah. Campaigned and said, I love it. I want to be in the films. And who says no to Samuel L. Jackson? If you wouldn't say no to that, would you? You'd be like, yeah, mate, get in here, come on. And then he said, "Can I have a purple lightsaber?" And they're like, "You bet. If you want your lightsaber to look like a dick, you've got it."
I like the purple lightsaber. It's cool.
Yeah, my replica lightsaber that I own is in fact a purple one.
Nice. Yeah. Right. Have we hit the movies enough?
Yeah, I think so. Well, only just to say that I think the back three, the final three, are just an even worse example of that thing that I'm talking about. That they've moved so far away from the heart of the original source material now that it is just fan service and Disney money grubbing, and getting super nerds who are just going to basically ejaculate their wants and desires onto the screen, knowing that there's a load of other mega nerds out there who will jizz their pants when they see it too.
What a lovely closing statement.
Yeah.
I quite like them.
I mean, they're not bad. I don't find them objectionable. There's certainly films out there that I just simply cannot watch. I feel like the spirit, the heart of what the original trilogy was all about, they've moved so far away from, and the reasons that they do things have changed so much. Like the whole X-Wing TIE Fighter space battle stuff, George Lucas wanted to kind of create a science fiction version of the old Battle of Britain dogfighting films that he used to watch when he was a kid. And you can see that in the spirit and the heart of how, like, the pilots' relationships and the way they talk to each other. Like, New Hope's a great example of that, when you see them in the cockpit exploding and they have this moment's pause of like, I don't have time to grieve, I'm in a fight, and that kind of all replicating that sort of. And Biggs and Luke have a little chat, and Biggs is going to die as a result of that because the old Spitfire. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the way that they move, the sort of sweeping motions, and the way that they've put it together is replicating that old kind of. It was the Battle of Britain dogfighting movies. That's what he sent it all on. And the whole Jedi thing was about like Seven Samurai and Ronin, the old Akira Kurosawa black and white feudal Japan films, and about the mystical kind of connection of man and nature, and he wanted to kind of bring an element of that and mix that in. And then the some of the spacey stuff was Flash Gordon. It was all kind of swashbuckling Flash Gordon-y stuff that he wanted, and that's where you kind of Jabba's palace, rogues and underworld elements all came into play and stuff. He was inspired by some of the characters he was seeing in the old soapy sci-fi serials that he watched when he was a kid. And that melting pot of stuff is what created the original trilogy. Now when they make a film, the X-Wings don't move like Spitfires and Messerschmitts dogfighting. They find the shot that makes fans go, oh, they don't dogfight anymore.
No, I quite liked when, is it the Force Awakens where you see the X-Wings fighting but in a planetary atmosphere? That's quite cool.
Well, see, that's where we differ, because I think that's moved too far away from, like, when they're scooting over the water towards the big-headed lady with the lightsabers place.
Yeah.
The Han took them to, and they're scooting over. Nah, I just can't get bored with it. I know I am the outlier. I've fully accepted and understand that I am entirely the outlier with this stuff. I just feel like there's a spirit, a heart to the original trilogy that nothing subsequent, some have come close to, but nothing subsequent has captured, has ever managed to revisit. Now, whether that's just because of my childhood nostalgia or the fact that I'm some kind of Star Wars elitist that only loves the first three films, and I will take all those, guilty as charged, but I think there's something about the spirit and the tone and what they were all about and the story they were trying to tell, and the fact that they were a kind of modern fairy tale for people of our generation. Nothing subsequent has done that. They've gone for the 80s toy sale, fan service, bigger escalating thing, and I'm just not on board with it.
Let's move on to our next segment.
He's like, oh, shut him up. All right, on to the next segment then. Yes, welcome back there, folks. Right, well, I've gone away. I've had a quick drink. I've had a word with myself. I've looked in the mirror. I've taken a breath. Andy, that's to cut off that last segment before I went too far.
Proverbial slap around the face.
So here we are in segment 2, after all this time, to talk about the kind of expanded space of the Star Wars universe. So the cartoons, the TV shows, the comic books, the novels, all that kind of stuff.
The other two movies.
Oh, right. The other two movies are in here.
Don't think we got away. You got away with that.
Yeah, okay. Well, first things first, Stu wanted us to mention the famous holiday special. So there we go. We've mentioned the famous holiday special. Moving on. All right. Well, where do you want to go with this one then? You want to do the other two movies by the sounds of it then?
What's that famous holiday special?
Oh, have you not heard about this? Back in the 70s, they did a holiday special, and it was just really, it was like Chewbacca goes home for Christmas and visits his Wookiee mom and dad, and it's all just really twee and cheesy and random. Oh, nice. Really awful. It was such an embarrassment that it's never been televised again, but then someone managed to get a kind of pirated copy of the videotape a little while back, and obviously then the internet's put it out there. I've never seen the full holiday special. I just know of its existence and seen clips in documentaries and things, But by all accounts, it's really, really awful.
I never knew about that, but I will go searching for that to have a look. after we've finished recording. Yeah, God, let's try and scrape the surface of the other two movies in the Star Wars franchise without that dunking too deep in. Let's get the easy one out of the way first. Solo, good movie.
Yeah, pretty good actually. I like Solo. It speaks to, so that whole thing I was just ranting about in the last segment there, around the spirit and the heart of what Star Wars was all about, it kind of speaks to that for me. It is a swashbuckling space adventure.
I like it, and I think we might have hinted on this in other episodes, because it's based in the Star Wars universe. It's not a Star Wars movie. It's got nothing to do with, there's little inklings in regards to the rebellion or whatever else, but it's nothing to do with that. It's a heist movie in Star Wars land with Han Solo. It's Ocean's 11 in Star Wars land, or the Star Wars universe. But that's basically what it is, and it's a good heist movie. It's fun. It's, again, like we said, it doesn't go overly complicated. No. It's like, you need to get this. Okay, sorted. Like, that's it. There's no layers or crisscrossing storylines or double crossing, triple crossing, Palpatine army things, and an hour with a really long necked alien. It's a fast paced Ocean's 11 style heisty movie, but set in Star Wars with Han Solo as the main character. And I liked it a lot. Yeah,
I like it. As I say, it was just the story came first. We're telling a heist movie, and the whole let's expand on this character's origins didn't become, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. Like, they just told a story that explains something about who he is and what he's all about. And it wasn't so focused on, there was more substance than style.
Cool. Rogue One.
Well, what few listeners we still have, I'm about to eliminate them because I think Rogue One was dreadful.
I very enjoyed Rogue One. I thought it was a brilliant film.
But why? What is wrong with you people? It's awful.
Why
it's really, really bad.
It's cool. Again, it's not it's no complicated storyline. They rebel. She's the daughter of the guy who created it. He wants to get to the goodies, how to beat up the big baddie spaceship. His daughter gets involved. They get it, and then it goes on to Princess Leia. It's not. It's
I don't even know
as much as Solo is a heist movie, this is more of a Dirty Dozen style movie.
Yeah, but it's not though, is it? That's it's really not. Every character in that film, my fucking carpet has more personality than Cassian Andor, and Jyn Erso. It's about as boring as this wall. I mean, what? There's just no. The characters are just boring. Really, really boring. They're so badly performed as well. I'm out. I'm not in on Rogue One at all. I'm not convinced. I wish they had either just gone full bore into let's get gritty war movie in the Star Wars universe, and like Han Solo, actually just told a really hardcore war story in that setting, or they went the other way and just went full bore all into a spectacle. The whole thing is just fucking ridiculous.
So if say, for example, it wasn't that they were getting the plans for the Death Star and it didn't really have any relevance to your fabled first three, say they were getting plans for, I don't know, something else, like spies within their ranks or something.
They're getting information for whatever. Yeah, no, the fact that it's the Death Star plans doesn't really bother me all that much. That's, in terms of it being a thread to pull on, I'm like, whatever. What bothers me is there's a lot of things. Again, it's the Disney money making machine that surrounds it. So I remember a poster I saw that got me really quite excited about it. It was the water and the beach on what's the name of the planet? Scarif, and there was an upside down green rebel helmet with like resting on the sand, and it was a bit evocative of sort of Vietnam War movies. in the style and tone, and there was a sort of a stormtrooper in the distance, but the stormtrooper was all kind of camoed up, and there was like an explosion, a crater, just in, and it just had this vibe, this feel of, we're getting into, the Star Wars of it all. I thought, that's what a really interesting perspective. Yeah, I think there's some great creative opportunities there. Like Solo is a mashup of sort of these heist movies and the Star Wars science fiction. That could really work. I could see that really working. But they never, the foot was always sort of half in, half out, and it wasn't anywhere near as gritty or as compelling a war story as, if you wanted a war story, there are plenty of other greats you could go to that would satisfy you more. The Star Wars context was just, again, a thing to connect it to a franchise so they could sell it. Oh, it's the Death Star plan story, and they're going to have some fights. I didn't like all that stuff on the planet. Forrest Whitaker's character and all that shit and the weird... I don't know. It just doesn't sit right. It doesn't tie together when you actually sit back and look at it in the cold light of day. And then I have real issues with the Darth Vader scene at the end. Again, I'm the outlier. I'm the minority view on that, but I have a real big problem with that.
I thought it was pretty good.
But yeah, and you are the fan, the jizzing fan that they put it in for. I don't know. That's, like you say, that's what you wanted, and they gave you what you wanted. I'm the randomer who's like, no, I don't want that. I already know he's a badass. Although I feel like it's just so tonally different from that moment, that leaping on point that leads into A New Hope. It's so tonally different. I'm like, it jars. It's jarring. They needed to pare it back to make it sit in. Although this is the thing that's happened with Star Wars, like expanding the conversation into the wider, the comic books and the computer games and stuff. There is a constant escalation of getting bigger and better. We need to escalate more and more. My Jedi main character in this computer game or this comic book or this novel has to do something a little bit more, be a little bit more spectacular than the way we've seen Jedis before, because no one's going to bite and read it if it's not. There's this constant just escalating that again contributes to that movement of making this stuff further and further away from the original source material. And that Darth Vader scene is almost everything. It encompasses it, because they didn't have the technology and the CGI capabilities to do it back in the 70s, which is the reason why it doesn't happen in the 70s movies. But when you actually stop and look at the tone and the sense of it all, it jars. It's actually like really jarring for me.
What about The Mandalorian?
What about The Mandalorian? Is this just going to be you throwing Star Wars things out, letting me rant about them, and then throwing another one out when I'm fizzled out?
Or just progressing our conversation on?
I like the first season of Mandalorian a lot. I was less happy with the second season.
I like it. It's that more gritty, but you have to remember when it comes to Star Wars, they can't do anything too gritty because kids want to watch it.
Well, sure.
But as far as gritty goes, I really liked it. I liked the fact that, again, it was a
mashup again.
Yeah, like I think you described it well as a kind of like a Wild West kind of westerny type series in the Star Wars world, which is cool. And kind of, again, it doesn't go too far out of the kind of the lore, because they are kind of on the frontiers of space, and you have moisture farms and rogues and whatever else. And I liked it, and I liked the fact that they had a tiny little baby Yoda, because he's super cute. And
baby Yoda is cool.
The chemistry between the tiny little Yoda and the big armored badass kick your head in dude.
But he's soft inside.
Yeah, he is. He's like a little babby inside. I like the fact that for the most part it was separate stories throughout. So you had the kind of running theme, but you did have a separate story throughout. I'm all for that one for the series. I like to have a nice little story with a running theme that comes up to a crescendo at the end of the series, which it did very, very nicely. And it's got the dude from Breaking Bad in it as well, so that's cool.
Yeah. Giancarlito Esposito, I think his name is.
Yes, of Los Bolos Locos.
Yeah.
So I know something that you didn't like, which was when they basically brought a lot of characters in for spin-off series into the end of the second series. And I get it, because it was kind of like this episode, here's Boba Fett. Although, to be fair with Boba Fett, at least he's kind of in quite a few of them. He's not just, here's one episode. There's one where it's just like...
He don't really do a lot, though.
No, I mean, the Melinda May does more, but
I kind of like
there. He's there, and he's
Did you see the end?
Within it.
Did you see the after credits scene on the very last episode?
Yeah, when he sits in a chair and then she sits next to him and has a drink or something. Because there's a few kind of spin-off ones that I think they go through. There's one with, Hicks from Aliens turns up, Michael Biehn.
He does, yeah.
I'm not sure if I said Biehn right, but Bean or whatever. That's quite exciting just to see. I was like, wow, you managed to talk your way into an episode, and then he gets killed. Sorry.
Yeah.
But then I think that whoever he was with, I can't remember who it was now, was going to be a spin-off series as well. It was a Doris.
Yeah, Ahsoka Tano.
That's it, yeah, from the cartoons.
Yeah. There was also, obviously things have happened since then, but there was rumours of Cara Dune, Gina Carano getting a spin-off as well. Although that one I find less objectionable.
Not anymore.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I have expressed a dislike for that aspect of season 2. Only because season 1, I did enjoy. It fit into the wider context, and what was happening with Baby Yoda was part of the bigger Star Wars story. We sort of knew that, or it was implied strongly. But the driving force behind the stories was this, spaghetti western vibe with a Star Wars twist, and he had his own story. The Mandalorian, this is the way, and he's trying to protect a legacy and a philosophy from his home world that doesn't exist anymore, and kind of like The Walking Dead in a way. Like, the zombies are there, but you never really find out why the zombies are there, because that's not the important bit. The important bit is how they're surviving and what they're doing within that context. And the Mandalorian's the same. It's telling you this story of how he's thriving and surviving, and then he gets a purpose, a mission in life around Baby Yoda. I like all this. This is all, I'm vibing on that, and I like the action was good and it had a good vibe. What season 2 did, what they always do with Star Wars, was to then start to drive further and further away from that. And I'd have liked Star Wars 2 just to kind of continue in that vein. And it did become a little bit like, and now it's time for you to fly to this planet to speak to that person. And, oh, look who that person is. This isn't a Mandalorian episode. It's actually the pilot episode for the new spin-off season. And at the end of that one, he now needs to go and fly to speak to this person over here. And, oh, look who it is. It's another character that's, oh, this isn't a Mandalorian episode. This is actually the pilot episode for this other spin-off series. And I was just like, come on.
Yeah,
I want his story. I'll carry on telling his story.
But I think you have to accept that they're going to do it. And they're always going to do that. And they did it pretty well. I mean, it was still cool.
Meh.
I really like the guy that they broke out of prison.
Yeah, the Bill Burr, the comedian plays him. Bill Burr.
Yeah, he's in the first one as well.
Yeah, and that's an example of where Mandalorian has its own story to tell, because this is a guy that he's encountered. They've done jobs in the past in their kind of underworld lives, and he was an ex-Imperial sniper, and he had his own little kind of arc there. With the commander and stuff, and taking his own little bit of revenge. And that's a great example of what you can do building a story. You don't need to keep creating backdoor pilots to new shows to drive it forward.
So you don't mind if it happens like organically, but it's when it's forced that you don't like it.
Yeah, and when it just leaps out at me and feels like, oh, well, this is just, they're just making another, this is just, I don't know how to describe it, how to articulate it. But yeah, if it's right for the story and it's right for... So Luke turning up at the end, I was a bit off with it when it first happened, but mostly because I don't like when this youthful CG thing that they're doing at the minute. But it was right for the story. It was right for the story because it was closing the loop on the Baby Yoda thing. Now, whether they'll return to that and we find out more, I perhaps wouldn't want them in the Mandalorian story to connect that to then The Last Jedi and Rise of the Skywalkers. I mean, I realise there is a connection there, but I wouldn't want that necessarily. I want the Mandalorian to have his own story told in his own way. And in season 1, they set that stall out around that story. And there was hints of it, but they just didn't go there. So he meets up with some other Mandalorians who are also kind of out and about. They're planning on retaking the planet of Mandalore.
Yeah.
And there's a connection
another
to
series?
Well, I think it possibly will be. It's certainly connected to the Clone Wars cartoon because she's a character. The Katie Sackhoff's character was a character in the Clone Wars cartoon, and that dark sword that Giancarlo Esposito's character had was a plot device, a MacGuffin in the Clone Wars cartoon. So, yeah, that's possibly another one. But what was nice about that, and the bit I appreciated, is that there was a link to that initial... he's a fanatic. He's part of a fanatical cult of Mandalorians, and she was sort of saying, "Well, we're not all like that," And there was the original story, his journey, his story that they were telling, that was a part of that. But they didn't really go there. They didn't do anything with it. I think that's where they are going to go, but they didn't really do anything with that because they were closing the loop on the Baby Yoda thing.
Yeah. Finishing things off on that.
I don't mind if it's organic and it's part of the actual telling of the story and it's giving me the narrative, but a lot of season 2 just felt like they were just backdoor piloting the next thing they want to make us pay for on Disney Plus.
Is there any other topics? I'm conscious of how long we've talked. Is there any other business Star Wars stuff?
No, I mean, I must admit, I've watched a few of the cartoons, but very casually. I've read a few comics, but very casually. I dipped into a few of the Timothy Zahn books in the 90s, but that's about it. I actually have progressively been getting more and more of a staunch original trilogist. For some time now.
To hint on Star Wars Lego, because, again, that's something that's in the Star Wars universe, but completely batshit out there. That was the first as well. And then they've expanded it. No, was it Batman, the first one? I don't know, Star Wars and Batman very close together, and then they brought out the obviously all the toys and the computer games, and then the little kind of films and
so there's
cartoons.
There's a story about that. If you want a classic random Chris tangent,
okay, let's do it.
So Lego was in a lot of trouble. Many, many years back. They were about to go bust. They were about to fall under. And the CEO at the time was just desperately trying to find a way of digging them out of this mire. Nobody was buying Lego, would you believe? I know it's hard for us to believe now, but there was a period of time where it was getting in a lot of trouble. And on a very early version of the Lego website, it's still there now, there was a forum where kind of really hardcore Lego fans were making their own Lego designs and sharing them on this forum for other Lego people, hardcore fans, to go away and make. And one of the sections of that forum was a whole wide section where people were creating X-Wings, making Batmobiles, and like properly illustrating up and creating manuals for the construction of said things. And someone in the organisation clocked it and said, hang on a minute, that's the answer, licensing agreements.
Yeah.
And they then went out to pursue all these licensing agreements, and obviously the rest is history. And that forum now, that still exists, that forum, although it's obviously grown and expanded, the internet's a lot more powerful and capable now. So the Beatles Lego Yellow Submarine that I've got was a fan-created item.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
and when it reaches when a set gets upvoted by over a certain threshold, they'll then approach the license owners and try and buy the license to make that kit a reality.
Every day's a learning day, folks. I did not know that.
Here's another one for you. Lego is the largest and most profitable producer of rubber tires in the world.
For the little cars?
Yep.
Wow.
They make more rubber tires than any Goodyear, whatever, Lego is the biggest and most profitable rubber tire manufacturer.
There you go. So do you like Lego Star Wars? Is that acceptable within the fact that it's Star Wars, but it's selling Lego?
I do, yeah, I do. I like collecting Lego, although, as you well know, I collect Lego broadly, and it's not just Star Wars Lego that I collect. I've just mentioned my Yellow Submarine.
You have indeed. You've mentioned the Lego in the past.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of aspects to that. So I only really collect Lego, largely speaking, that's based on original trilogy stuff.
Obviously.
although I do have a BB-8. My BB-8 is awesome. And that is, I think the thing with that is that when I was a kid, because I'm a decades long Lego fan. I played with Lego when I was a kid, and I have continued to do so now into my 40s. Was that one of the things I tried to make out of Lego was my own versions, my own replications of X-Wings and TIE Fighters and Death Stars that I saw on the screen in front of me. So I think the fact that they now make dedicated sets that have overcome some of the challenges I was facing when I was trying to do that means I get really excited about it. Because the part that you needed just didn't exist in the 80s. You know what I mean? Now they've created that part. So I like that. I like the minifigures. But I'll come back to that in the next segment if I may.
You can indeed. I would also like to mention, and I've never done it, but I know it's quite big, is the Star Wars role-playing game. I've never done it. But
no, I've never done it.
I bet it's very cool.
I've played a number of board games and collectible card games based on Star Wars, but I've never role-played it.
So I think at this stage, what I would do is ask the wider audience out there, what have we missed? What things do you love of Star Wars that we have missed off, we've not spoken about? Do we need to watch more of the cartoons, the Clone Wars, etc.? Do we need to delve into the comic books? Do we need to start bashing through Lego Star Wars computer games? One thing that I've not really done is any of the other kind of Star Wars computer games. So you've got the
I've played a few of them actually.
Jedi ones, and I don't even know the names of them. Are they any good? Force
Unleashed was pretty good, although it was an example of that escalating thing. Like this random Sith apprentice could do more than we've ever seen Darth Vader do on film.
He's got more mini-chlorians, isn't he?
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, but then why is he not the main character? Why is he? Yeah. So they're pretty good. Me and I played, and my lad has played many of the Lego Star Wars games as well. I mean, they're just goofy fun. They're just.
Have you done that arcade game where you have to go in the Star Wars pod, X-Pod?
No, I've not done that one.
Google that. Have you not been to like an arcade? Do you not have a seafront in Manchester?
We've got the ship canal. But there's different types of attractions along the along the banks.
There's this thing, right? It's called the Star Wars X-Pod, and it's a complete pod, and you have to like open the door, sit in it, and there's a chair, and then you've got like surrounded.
Oh, I think I have seen it.
And then you can fly an X-wing and new, and it makes all the right noises.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I've not seen that. I think I may have seen a photo or like when they rattle around on Facebook and stuff, but I've never had a go.
It's usually £2 a go instead of £1 a go because it's that, it's the top end.
Because it's yeah.
But that was me wrapping up, and I went off on a tangent about the arcade game. So let us know what we have missed and what you like Star Wars related that we have not spoken about, and we can maybe, if there's enough responses, talk about that in a future episode. But for now, top 5.
Yes, here we are then, the Star Wars special, or as I've just described to Andy in between recording bits, the Let's Listen to Chris Rant About Star Wars for an hour and a half special. We're now going to move on to talk about Star Wars merchandise, but to actually give this one a bit of structure, we've decided to talk about the top 5 pieces of Star Wars merchandise from our own nerdy collections. Well, I suppose we don't have to own it necessarily.
I don't own the stuff that I've got here.
Yeah, you don't have to necessarily own it. Yeah. And so we've both got a list, I think, of 5 things, and we're going to have a bit of a chat about them. So where should we start?
You can go first.
Shall I go first? Shall I start my 5th?
Yes, let's do your 5th, and then I'll do my 5th.
Well, my 5th favourite is the T-shirt I'm wearing right now. Which
I saw a picture of it.
Yeah. So I've got a bit of a weird thing about T-shirts that mash up 2 of my favourite things. And so Star Wars apparel is one of the kind of spaces that I do that in. And I've got a number of T-shirts that are like... So I've got a Sith Will Rock You, and it's Darth Vader with a guitar. Or I've got an Abbey Road cover, but it's stormtroopers walking across the Pelican Crossing, And this one is an AT-AT and an ATST attacking Hoth, but in a Paisley pattern.
Paisley, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
Star Wars Christmas jumper.
Not a jumper, a t-shirt. I've got a Star Wars Christmas t-shirt. Yeah.
What's a Christmas t-shirt?
Well, it's basically a t-shirt with a Christmas pattern on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Christmas t-shirt day at work, guys. Everyone get your Christmas t-shirts on.
Yeah. It just happens to be a Star Wars t-shirt with a Christmas motif.
Nice.
So yeah, clothing, but specifically the one I'm wearing right now. But I've got a few Star Wars t-shirts. I've got a really fun one with it's like a holiday photo of Endor, but it's got the Death Star shield generator and stuff, and it's just like I like these little I don't know what you call them. I think there's a phrase when you sort of mash two things together like that, but I can't think what it is. So yeah, that's my number 5. Is my Star Wars t-shirts, but specifically the Paisley AT-ATs.
Cool. My number 5 is Star Wars mugs.
Oh, okay.
I've got a Stormtrooper mug, which is his helmet. So like for heads.
You should say that.
I've got a Chewbacca mug, which is Chewbacca's head. That one is a little bit weird because it's not, it's organic as opposed to like a helmet. But nonetheless, very cool. And I've also got a C-3PO head mug, but that's in a box wrapped in bubble wrap that I got back in the 90s. And I bought it and I was convinced that give it 30 years and it'll be worth loads because all the toys are, but it's probably not. It was really expensive. It was like 30 quid and it's probably worth about 20 quid now.
Well, what a coincidence that you should say that.
Is it? Why is that?
Because my number 4 happens to be my Star Wars mug.
Oh, cool.
Although mine is a thermo mug, and when you put the drink in it, the lightsabers ignite.
Nice. That's very cool.
Yeah, I use it all the time. In fact, there may even be footage of me drinking from it on a stream or whatever that we've done in the past. But yeah, I like it. It was a gift from the #competitive_wife. It's a thermo mug, and it's got a load of different lightsabers around the outside. And then when you put hot water in it, it sort of the lightsabers ignite.
Awesome. And that's your number 4.
That's my number 4. Yeah.
Oh, I'll get back to me for my number 4. This is another one that I own, and it is a statue of an AT-AT. It's quite a big one. I bought it off of my mate Rob. It doesn't move or anything, but it's very detailed, and it sits on top of my Kallax system bookcase, which all the board gamers out there will know exactly what that is from IKEA.
Yeah.
And looks menacing. He's next to Red Hulk, a bobblehead Loki, and a little Doctor Doom. And a bottle of sun cream, actually, at the moment in time, but I'm not sure why that's there.
Well, high demand for that right now, I'm sure.
Yeah. Sometimes when it's really cold and I'm a little bit down, I'll put on sun cream because it smells nice. And it gives you a little like, oh, you
pretend.
A little lift. It's a little tip from me to you.
Do you get yourself a can of Fanta as well? Pour it out on ice.
Fanta limon and some iced tea.
Yeah.
You pretend I'm in Spain.
A quick sup on the Liptons. Put your sun cream on.
Sad, but it's true. Anyway, let's move on to your number 3.
My number 3. Okay, I've got it's 2 items that make up this. They're on the top of my DVD shelf over there. So it's 2. They're miniature lightsaber replicas, little metal lightsaber replicas.
Cool.
I'd have to. Do you know what? I should have taken them down and looked at who makes them or where they come from. I've still got the boxes in the attic, but I've got Darth Vaders and I've got Darth Mauls.
The baddies.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I was thinking about my collection earlier today in preparation for this. I've got a big collection of Darth Vader, Darth Maul related stuff. I think I've obviously got a thing for the 2 bad guys.
Subconsciously, you're evil.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. So these aren't on the list, but as a momentary tangent, I've got quite a large collection of statues and figures that I've randomly accrued over the years. And the vast majority of them are Darth Vaders and Darth Mauls.
Wow. You need a Kylo Ren lightsaber to go with the Darth Vader and the Darth Maul one, though. Just for the set, because they would look cool together, the 3 red ones.
Nope.
Out of context, you don't even have to think about the Star Wars, but having the 3 generations of red.
Well, then I'd have to get a Count Dooku one, wouldn't I?
I'm not even
sure they make. I'm not even sure they make them anymore. I'm not even sure. A lot of these have been gifts, actually. Funnily enough, I don't buy much of the Star Wars stuff myself. They get bought for me. You know, it's an easy thing for Chris at Christmas and birthdays to buy the Star Wars thing. You know. So that's my number 3. Is my little die-cast metal lightsaber replicas.
Cool. My number 3 is not something that I own, but something I think is very cool, and that is the original, maybe not the original, but the original style movie posters. They do some of them on like metal, don't they? Like like actual like a solid metal frame that is screen printed on, or however they print them, I don't know. And then for wall mounting, I think they're very cool. I'm very Marvel in my office. I've got Hulk and Iron Man currently in here. But I do like the Star Wars, like the movie posters, the actual movie posters, because they look cool.
Yes, yeah, the classic ones.
Yeah, I think those are the kind of the retro, isn't it? But movie posters in general are cool. Even if the film is shat, the movie poster is usually cool. And then you have certain ones which are awesome, like Pulp Fiction, that one, iconic, with Uma Thurman, and you had the Trainspotting ones. Do you remember them?
Yeah, the orangey, orange and white. Yeah,
different. They had the different characters in the bus stop and the different posters.
Yes,
the different characters, and there was a Reservoir Dogs similar. You had like Mr. Pink, Mr. Blue, Mr. Brown. I do like movie posters. You might have just guessed, but the Star Wars ones in particular, very cool. I may change up my office soon and get some up and around me. But yeah, that's my number 3. So I think that takes us to 2.
That takes us to number 2, yeah. And number 2, I suppose, is a bit of a cheat because it's kind of 2 things mashed up together in one. It's my Lego minifigures collection. But more specifically, I've got a small selection of, I think it's 12 of them. I've got it here. I'll just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 Lego minifigures in a special Star Wars mounted frame with little shells for the minifigures.
Oh, very cool.
So my top row is Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, 3PO, and R2-D2.
Nice.
My bottom row is a load of Jedis. I've got Jedi Luke. It's the Hoth version. I haven't managed to get the Return of the Jedi one because you can only get him in the £500 Death Star. I've got old Obi-Wan Kenobi, Alec Guinness. I've got young Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor. I've got Qui-Gon Jinn, Mace Windu, and a Yoda. And then the 2 in the middle are my Darth Vader and my Darth Maul.
Oh, Darth Vader and Darth Maul in the middle, prime place.
Yeah, absolutely. All with their lightsabers and guns and stuff. So I suppose it's my minifigures, really. But Joe, again, the hashtag competitive wife, bought me this lovely specialist frame, specifically designed for mounting Lego minifigures.
Beautiful. My number 2 is something that I wish I owned more of, or any of, and that is the old school 70s and 80s toys.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I do have some in the attic. Yeah, some. I mean, they're battered to fuck.
Are they? My mate, this is a good, like, late 90s, early 2000s, so quite a while ago. He was a terror for, like, the free ads. It was probably, it was before the internet or Gumtree or anything, and you just have, like, the local rag with, like, different ads in. And there was a woman, and she sold. You're not
going to tell me he's got the original. Go on, sorry.
I've
just got all excited by what you're saying.
He's got the original Falcon.
Nice.
I don't know if he's still got it because I've not spoken to him for years. But so basically she just put an advert in, like, getting rid of some Star Wars toys. I think it was like something like her son who'd gone to uni or something. She was just clearing his stuff out. He'd go mental, and it was like it was like 15, 20 quid, which still wasn't that much then, to be fair. It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't 2D and 6. And he bought, like, just shed loads, and he come back with them. And I was like, oh, mate, that's very cool. And, had like the Falcon and the AT-AT and all the different characters. None of them in the box, to be fair. Yeah, anyway, that's enough of me rambling on about Star Wars toys in my past.
Okay, I thought what you were saying about free shit, because the very original first selection of Star Wars figures was quite famously, you got the box, but there was no actual figures in them. You had to kind of collect them by accruing vouchers and sending away for them.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
but they cost
and they massively underestimated the demand that there was going to be for them. Very good. Okay, on to my number one then.
Your number one.
And my number one is my near complete collection of Star Wars Decipher CCG cards.
Ah, that's the game that you still play. It's stopped now, though, isn't it?
Yes, it has. So there's a players committee that are still sort of publishing player-made cards, and there's still a bit of a community surrounding it. But I've long since stopped playing. So you're possibly thinking of the Fantasy Flight Games one, but it's not that one. No. It's the one from the 90s I'm talking about.
Oh, back in the day.
Yeah, all binded up, all sleeved. Got my cards. I mean, the gaps that are in there are basically the ones that at this point now I'll never get my hands on without spending an arm and a leg for them, you know. But yeah, it's a near complete set I've got.
Ooh.
And an enormous amount of surplus that I've been instructed to get rid of.
Well, can you not sell them if, like, the ones that you're missing are really expensive?
So, yeah, it's just a case of sitting down and being asked to sort them. I did a classic Chris. I've got my binders with my main, like, one of each in. But Star Wars, the Decipher CCG, your decks could be made up of up to 4 copies of a particular card. So I had duplicates of ones that I used a lot in decks. And I did a very classic Chris. I've just got one of those big, you know, the corrugated card storage boxes.
Yeah.
And they've all just gone in there, unordered. Yeah. Probably as a result of a previous, will you get that shit tidied up, please? So there is the opportunity to sell them. There's people who will buy them for sure out there, I know.
But gold mine.
But it's sitting down and flicking through them. I just can't be asked. And I didn't look after them very well when I was 14 years old. Some of them are battered.
I'm waiting for the day when my Civil War gravity feed extras for Taskmasters are, you know, expensive.
That day will come. That day will come, yeah. That day will come.
Yeah. Have you got an Iron Man?
Yeah, yes, but I played that game an awful lot.
Cool. Well, my number one, to finish off, again, is something that I don't own, but to me is the pinnacle of Star Wars match, and that is the Lego Millennium Falcon.
No way. Well, you've got the Millennium Falcon, Lego Millennium Falcon.
No, I've not got it.
Oh.
But it is like, it's the thing, isn't it? It always was the thing that I was like, ooh, I'll get
It's got the proper Empire Strikes Back original series Han Solo minifigure in it.
Oh, has it?
Yeah. And it's got the layer in the padded white, you know, again, the Empire Strikes Back gear that she was wearing.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, if I ever get one, I'll send you photos of those. But it's unlikely because it costs an absolute arm and leg. Can you still buy it? Oh, I made a mess.
They re-released it. They've re-released it based on The Force Awakens with the Force Awakens characters in it. So there's a Rey and a Poe and a Finn and a Chewbacca and a Han Solo, but with like silver hair and the outfit he was wearing in the new movie, and it's a BB-8 instead of an R2-D2.
Oh, look, the Ultimate Collector Series.
And I think they released one for Solo as well, but again with the newer versions. So it's got the young Lando Calrissian that was played by Donald Glover as the minifigure.
And at £650, it's not likely to be in my house anytime soon. But very cool. I'm not sure if I'd really want to build it, though. I think I'd want to get someone to build it for me.
Oh, I'd love to do that. The building's the part of the pleasure of it.
You get little dents in your thumbs.
Yeah, there was a R2-D2, a Lego R2-D2 from the same range that the BB-8 I own, and I missed it. I never got around to buying it, and it was a limited time only. And I thought, I'll get one on eBay or something. No, not without remortgaging my house.
Oh, mate, the Star Destroyer is £650 as well. Like,
yeah. Death Star's really expensive as well.
Between the Millennium Falcon and the Star Destroyer, you go in Millennium Falcon, and
100%, yeah, 100%. But I'm just not sure you can justify spending that. You know, you could buy a car with that. I mean, it'd be an old banger, but you could buy a car with it.
Oh, this Millennium Falcon's only £150. Oh, that's like a crap version. Like, I've just seen.
Yeah.
Well, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I've always wanted the classic X-Wing as well, but I've never got around to buying it. And now they've brought out a Poe Dameron version and stuff.
the iconic number one bit of merch for me.
Yeah. Well, very good. Yeah, and that's a great choice. So there we go. There's our favourite merchandise. Maybe I'll whip round and take photos of my bits and bats that I've mentioned there.
Yeah, do.
On the Facebook page or something. But please do let us know in the comments below if you're a Star Wars merch nerd, what your favourite item in your collection is. Show it off. I'm sure there's folks out there with some fun stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can guarantee you there's people listening that have got some amazing Star Wars things. So share them with us and chuck them up on our Facebook page.
Well, there we are then, folks. As all things must, this episode of MoDXtra has come to an end. We hope you enjoyed listening to me rant like a motherfucker as much as I enjoyed ranting like a motherfucker.
And he did.
That brings us to the close of our Star Wars special.
It's good. Because we had no structure to it whatsoever, I think it worked out pretty well.
Well, we'll see. It's long again. We've done another long one.
Bloody hell, it is long, isn't it?
Yeah. So we'll make it short and sweet. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/MoDXtraCast. We now have a Discord server if you're interested in coming and hanging out and talking about the various themes and topics that we share on the vodcast, or, our other videos and whatnot. Then you will find an invite in the description below to come and join in.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know what you thought of the format of this episode in comparison to others. Obviously, we've left ourselves open now in regards to movies or comic books or anything else that we will review or look at for our next episode. So if you liked what we did, let us know. If you've got any suggestions for things to talk about next time, then again, let us know. I was also going to just say that on the 27th, Saturday the 27th at 9 o'clock,
I was going to say the same thing.
Twitch, we will be
facing the Forest of Doom.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, so it's our next fighting fantasy novel playthrough. So head on over to twitch.tv/MoDXtra, no E, to make sure that you're notified when we go live on that. But that'll be Saturday the 27th. Or come along and, watch us die lots at Apex, or see us play Dice Masters, or all the other various random shit that we put out for our Twitch.
Yeah, there's no focus to the content.
No.
But
we are pretty far from niche. So it's all very exciting. Very exciting. Yeah. And there we go. That's everything, I think. So we'll wrap that one up there. Thanks for coming along. I've been Chris, otherwise known online as True Mr. Six.
And I've been Andy, a.k.a. Madlibs.
See you later, folks.
Bye-bye.
So it's less a Star Wars special and more just to listen to Chris rant about Star Wars for an hour and a half.
It's what the public demand.
We knew this was good. People are going to kick off on Discord when this episode comes out.
I hope so. Any reaction's a good reaction.